This meeting of the Kennebec City School District number 52 to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we move on to the approval of the agenda. Do you have any comments, questions, or modifications?
I make a motion to approve.
I'm gonna second the approval.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, on to delegations, Mr. Peterson.
I have no delegations this evening, Mr. Skipper.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll move on to the proposed consent agenda. Any comments, questions, or modifications here?
I know I'm having difficulty speaking today. We received quite a packet on the Joe Mendoza separation. I don't know if we can possibly move that and discuss that. I haven't had the opportunity to read it. I just got home from work myself. Haven't looked at any of it. We got it at 9 o'clock this morning. So I don't know if we need to remove that and look at that at a later date, or if we continue with the way it's written and then make a decision after the fact. That makes sense.
If the board would like to remove it for consideration we can table that portion until the meeting on the 24th.
Okay, that's what I would like to do, just so I can read through, and we got a lot of paperwork from representatives and stuff for him, so if that's something and we get followed into or not, I'm fine with it.
I'm fine, but I didn't get a chance to read it either.
So what we would do, because the agenda has already been approved, what we would do is simply table
Okay.
any decision regarding Mr. Mendoza until the 24th.
Does that have any impact on the processes?
Not from the district standpoint, no.
All right, so with that, you need a motion to table that particular item.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to table the separation of Joe Mendoza as lead grounds.
I will second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll move that. And for the remainder of the proposed consent agenda. Any other comments or questions, Art? All right, I'll entertain a motion for the remainder of the proposed consent agenda.
I'll move to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, with that, we'll move on to public comment. Do we have any public comments this evening? No, I will save the spiel here. Anyone? Okay. Do we have any electronic?
No electronic.
All right, with that, we'll move right into principal reports. Accepted.
Hi, everyone. So I know typically I pass out something to everyone that talks about all of the wonderful things that are happening at the elementary school, but tonight's presentation will just be a little bit different, and it will be a little bit shorter than normal. So lately there has been a lot of negativity online and just throughout the community, and so tonight, I just wanted to take my time to thank all of the staff at the elementary school for everything that they do for our students. They show up every day despite all of the challenges that we might face. We have incredible students at the elementary school. We have some of the best staff that I have worked with in the time that I've been in education. We come from an amazing community, and we have some of the best families. And so I'm incredibly thankful to be the principal at the elementary school in the town that I grew up in. And so I just wanted to take my time to thank all of them for all of the hard work that they do every day. So thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Bernardo here? Yeah. Sorry. You had fun.
He needs to sit in the back row.
Yeah.
Good evening. It's kind of fun being here with the principals. Especially the big guys that's in front of me, so. No, it's, I'd like to highlight, actually my favorite program always, the ECAP preschool. So I'll highlight a little bit, on them and then just real briefly on some of the other programs. Which, I do appreciate being here because, all the other programs that I oversee are in close partnership with principals anyway, so it affects principals and buildings as a whole, so there's a lot of collaboration there, so. With regards to ECAP, I wanted to share some of the yearly assessment data. Every year I have to, I get to report to DCYF goals that we had set, that I set in the fall, and then I report to them in the spring. So I wanted to share some assessment data from our teaching strategies curriculum for last school year, because right now we're in the process of fall assessments. So it triggered that I'm like, oh, I haven't shared last year's assessment. So we assess kids in 6 different dimensions. Social emotional is the first one. So in the social emotional dimension, we look at students following expectations, forming relationships with adults, interacting with peers and making friends. In the fall of last year, they scored at a 39th percentile in the fall. In the spring, they scored at a 70th percentile, so they made significant growth in that area. In the physical dimensions, we're looking at gross motor skills and then their writing and drawing skills and the use of tools. So in that area, they in the fall was at a 26th percentile, and in the spring a 64th percentile. So it made some really good progress. In the area of language, which last year they came in really low. They're at 13th percentile. We're looking at the comprehension of language, following directions, engaging in conversations, speaking clearly and expressive language. So they came in at a 13th percentile and they exited in a 70th percentile, so a 57% growth. That was significant. In the area of cognitive, so attending and engaging, solving problems, showing curiosity and motivation and making connections. That was one of the lowest. Again, they were at a 10th percentile in the fall, and they ended up at a 72nd percentile. So significant growth in that year. Literacy, so noticing and discriminating rhyme, alliteration, units of sound, identifying letters, letter sound, correspondence, retelling stories, and writing their name. They're at a 35th percentile in the fall, and they ended up at a 67th in the spring. And then the lowest of all was math. So, math is always a challenge. So counting, connecting numerals with quantities, understanding shapes, measuring objects, and demonstrating knowledge of patterns. They were at 7% in the fall of last year. The hugest growth, which was exciting. They ended up at a 73rd percentile at the end of the year. So significant growth. So, and I always brag about my staff, and I wanted to share that data just to show the staff and how well they're doing. So it's a testament to them and their hard work and how much they love what they do and the children that they work for. So that's awesome. And then just real quickly, some events for ECAP. We have our 2nd annual regional Head Start ECAP Health Resource Fair coming up here this week on Thursday. And it's held in the Richland School District Early Learning Center. So we bring together a lot of different vendors and services from around the Tri-Cities, and they gather there, and then we invite our families to come in and look and meet different programs and businesses and get resources there. So we're looking forward to that. That's at 5:00 this Thursday at the Early Learning Center. And then our December family night is December 5th at 5:00. And we're going to hold it at the elementary middle school NPR this year just because we have such a huge turnout. So that'll be fun. So that'll be on the 5th at 5:00. As they're all absolutely welcome. If you like to go take a picture with Santa or decorate a gingerbread house, that's what we'll be. So it'll be a good time. Oh, any questions? Yes, sir.
When you were reading it at the very beginning, it was really interesting. How do you how do we go ahead and share that with the parents of the individual students?
For ECAP.
Yeah.
So what we do, we're required to have 3 conferences a year with each family, the parents. And then in the spring, we will share, we do share the growth the kids have made throughout the year.
Okay, and you have the ability, I assume that if, and actually speaking from 1,000 years ago when I was that age, to go ahead and contact parents if you see something going wrong in between.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so we screen kids, so we'll assess them academically in the fall. And then we'll, like, right now, this is the time we're having fall conferences and we'll go over that data with them. But we also screen, we do all kinds of vision, hearing screenings for every child, and we immediately respond back to them if we see anything that's not quite up to
I think
par.
it's just real important to catch it, especially if it's a focus or attention thing. It's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other questions?
Stephanie, thank you for sharing those stats. That's
Yeah,
great,
sure.
great to hear, and always good to hear the progress.
Oh, well, we always shoot to send Mrs. Upton the most ready children for kindergarten as possible, so she appreciates it as well, so.
Great.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Davidson.
You have a handout? I'm trying to get this out as quick as possible.
Thank you.
No, they got it. It's phones around here. Got some visual evidence this time. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Peterson, financial wizard, Mr. Hassel. At IB Middle School, of course, we want everyone to feel connected to the school, build powerful relationships, and envision their future. And we've had a very busy October and kicking into November here. The middle of October, the 13th and 14th, we had SARC, the Support Advocacy Resource Center, show up and give cyberbully training and digital citizenship training to all of our 6th and 7th graders. They were there for 2 full days, so all the kids rotated through, and that was a big need for our school. We're also continuing PD with our teachers on clarity, learning targets, and feedback. We want our teachers to feel like they can empower each other and lean on each other when they need to, and we're all targeting to accelerate student learning. And we pulled Q1 data, and we have 12% more students passing all of their classes than we did at the end of Q4 last year. At a small school, that's 38 kids that had at least 1 F on their report card at the end of Q4 that now have no Fs. So we are very proud. I'm very proud of my staff for their perseverance. They're making a difference. So I'm hoping that we continue this momentum and get all of our kids passing all of their classes. This first photo up on the screen is STEM Like Me. Many of you have probably heard of that. Mrs. Kalinga brings them in every year. And we have students submit projects to the STEM Like Me program. Last year we had some award winners. But they were here on October 20th. They did a couple experiments. And there might be another photo on there if David could move it to the next one. One of the items was they put some vinegar, baking powder, wrapped it up in a tissue, and you're not supposed to say this at schools, but they were making bombs. So vinegar's in one part, they got the baking powder in another part, and they zip the bag up and throw it, and then it starts to have a chemical reaction over time, and it pops the bag. And the kids were super excited about that. We've also had, in coordination with Mr. Crago, with the groundskeeping, Kids for Urban Trees show up. And there's some pictures on the next couple slides of 4 trees that we planted at the middle school to help beautify the campus. And we had Mrs. Terrell's Halos Cave come out and put their angel halo on these trees. They had a great time. Jobs Nursery came out and helped donate their time and expertise and taught our kids a few things about how to plant a tree and secure it when it's new. So that was really fun. Then we had on October 24th, our first spooktacular dance. I had a couple kids up there on the upper left, Wyatt Lorenzi and Camilo Valencia, that begged me for 2 weeks, can we have a jam session at this dance? And I said, show me your demo tape and then I'll talk to you. So they showed me a demo tape and I was like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. These guys are good. So I let them set up and their families came in and supported all of setting up the amps, the wires. I said, if you guys can do all that, because I don't know anything about it, you can jam out. So kudos to their family for coming in and helping them get set up. And the kids are already saying, encore, encore. They should be at every dance. So I like to support kids showcasing their talents. And this was not about me. This was about giving these kids an opportunity to shine in front of their peers. And it was awesome. Fall sports just finished. Football, soccer, volleyball, cross country. Thanks to all the families that helped transport the kids to the games. That really helped result in successful seasons for all 4 of those sports. And thanks to my coaches, Madison Wheeler, Jaime Garcia, Steve Woods, Tony Allen, Gary Peterson, Lisa Stade, another great year. So thanks to them. When you see them, say thank you. We've got girls wrestling kicking off. We got 12 girls out. That's about 8% of our female students that are enjoying wrestling. We've got 32 boys out for basketball. 20% of the boys in my building like to shoot the hoops. These last couple pictures are just our recent Q1 honor roll. We had 115 students total earn honor roll, 35% of our students. There's 5 or 6 photos. Some of them are the honor roll, 3.0 to 3.79 GPA. Then we had some students earn a 3.8 to 4.0 to get principal's honor roll. And David could flip through those photos. That's a nice group. They're really proud. We go to an assembly, we have the certificates printed, we call their names, and they just come out of the crowd like they just won the lottery or got called down for the Price is Right. I mean, they are so excited. And this was on Halloween.
That's right, you're gonna.
So, yeah, like that one, yeah. This was on Halloween. So, yeah, watch out. You never know what's gonna happen at the middle school.
It is middle school.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed those photos. These kids have smiles on their faces, and I can start to see them having a sense of belonging. Some of them had it before, some of them didn't, and it's just good to see more and more feeling like this is the place to be. Then last thing is we did have our Veterans Day assembly today. We had a guest speaker, Corporal Eric Targan, who is a Marine who served with one of my student teachers, Donnie Marquis. So it was nice to have a familiar face speak to our students at the middle school, and he delivered a message of teamwork, commitment, and perseverance. So I would just like to end with saying thanks to all of our veterans as we head in to remembering them officially tomorrow. With their day that they deserve. But we did have our assembly this morning, and it was really good to honor them today. So thanks, everybody.
Very
Any questions?
Yeah, how does it work when you have 32 trying out for basketball? How many make the team versus just are able to participate in practices or?
Well, it's a good dilemma to have.
Yeah.
We'll have two teams, so
Okay.
there'll be larger teams.
Mhm.
We're hoping they all stay eligible.
Yeah.
But it's good to see that they're excited. But yeah, we'll have two teams and
Okay.
we'll just rotate them through.
Great. Great, thank you. Thank you. All right, Henry.
Okay. So, we had our Day of the Dead celebration last week. Or the second week, excuse me, Halloween. I like to say there's 200 to 300 people who attended. We had trunk or treat in the back, we had events in the pack, and then we had I'm gonna ask, was it the kindergarten?
Yes.
Dual language students all come up and sing on stage, and it was amazing. Parents were just happy as can be, and the kids did a great job. What I thought was really funny was Lisa said that she had all these kids come to her and say, the high school principal, he's really big. He was right by me. He's huge. He's really big. He was there. Did you know that? She goes, yeah, I know, because I was there too. And so they're like, yeah, but he was there. So, yeah. Yeah. So that's really cool to have them in our building and have them take part in a really cool event to celebrate. I do a weekly home on the Parent Square. So this week, obviously, we had our Veterans Day Assembly today at 10 to 11. That's always awesome to have for our community. Tomorrow, obviously, no school. We have winter cheer tryouts starting on Wednesday. Thursday, we have Apprentice Day. So a bunch of our students are going to an Apprentice Day event that they'll go to plumbing, electrical, and don't remember the third one, but there's 3 of them that they go to on Thursday. We also have our fall sports banquet from 6 to 8 in the Commons. And then on Friday, we'll have a college and career day. And so third period, we'll have 12th and 9th graders go to career day in the PAC. And then on fourth period, we'll have 10, 11 go in there for that. During that hour class that they're in there, the other class will be working on their high school and beyond plans and stuff like that, that they'll be doing. And then Saturday, actually, we have our senior pictures already due for the yearbook. Things are going fast. It's moving very quickly. And so I too want to thank our staff for everything that they've done. Last week, we had parent-teacher conferences, and that was really successful. Sports start for the winter on the 17th, next Monday. And we're excited about that. But it's just busy. We're keeping things going, and it's amazing how fast the day goes, to be honest with you. So it's exciting and always a great thing to be. But like I said, I want to thank the teachers, the staff, and everybody. It takes a lot to keep our school moving and going forward. And then for some of you who are not coming back, I want to thank you guys for putting in your time and effort and energy. And I know it's not easy. We all know that, but we do appreciate you for what you do.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, sir.
When the students that are going through and they're doing more of the plumbing, that type of thing, and the education, do you then, in either one of those categories, do you then meet with the parents to explain or anything? Or
Yeah, so a lot of those kids will actually, that gives them their interest on if they want to go to Tri-Tech. And so they go to Tri-Tech and they get their training in there. We have pathways now for graduation. We used to have to pass the WASL, and if you didn't pass the WASL, then you didn't graduate. Now you can have a pathway, and if it's to do a trade, then you can do that. You can go in the military, you can go in the community college, you can go. There's just pathways for you to go now, and that we make sure that we line the kids up so that they're successful and they know what steps they have to take once they get out of high school, which I think is tremendous because we have never had that before. And now they supposed to be starting in 8th grade, starting the pathway, and then we carry them through the high school. And that'll be partly what they'll be doing, high school and beyond plan, when we do our college and career day.
That's really good if you involve the parents, because then they understand what the true situation is.
I agree.
And know the idea of what it's going to take to make this all work.
Yep, and it's always interesting when the student wants to do something, the parents like, but I thought you wanted to do this. We're like, we got to do what's best for everyone. don't stand in the way. So we just give ideas. Okay,
All right, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks, Becky.
All right, moving on to new business, policy 3432, emergencies, revision, Mr. Peterson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Skipper. Just real quick, we have an update revision to 3432, and the premise behind this has actually gone through all three very subtle revisions since it was originally adopted by the board in 2016. This year, however, the state is collecting data in the form of a survey as a result of some legislative changes. So I completed the survey last week, and during the course of that, checked the updates. And even though they're not significant changes to either of the three revisions, we felt it was just better to go ahead completely update it. Although there are rumors now that this one will see another revision for next year, but that's okay. We figure once every 10 years we need to readdress policy whenever we can. But completed the survey, and Bernardo and the principals are going to be taking the lead on creating a comprehensive district-wide emergency plan, which is based on this policy. That's the main reason we want to have it in place prior to development of that comprehensive plan. Even though the comprehensive plan has been out there, we sent our principals and some other staff to some trainings at the ESD, and they all have their building plans ready to go. We're just updating those to meet current standards, and then we'll wrap everything up into one big plan. It's not as common as I thought. I sent an email out to the other superintendents, and only 2 of them in the region actually got back to me and said, yeah, we're ready and raring to go with the current plan. So that made me actually feel like we weren't 100% behind the 8 ball. So anyway, asking for approval on this revision so we can take on the next step in the process.
All right, any comments or questions on policy 3432?
I'll move to approve the revision of policy 3432 emergencies.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry.
This is the first day doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Get it, sorry.
You got that, Heidi? Yeah. All right, moving on to 8B levy athletics discussion, Mr. Peterson.
So just real quick, a quick update. As the board is aware, currently our levy is 38 votes short. There are 300 ballots still left countywide to count. Now, obviously, those don't all reside here. I think it's virtually 100% likely that this will not pass in its current form. But I did want to clear up. We've gotten a lot of questions, and I know it's hard to believe, but there are all these rumors out on this Facebook thing that we're all of a sudden cutting athletics and cutting a bunch of other programs. And I want to remind the board, when we developed the 25-26 budget, we made $1.5 million in cuts in the chance that this levy didn't pass. So we budgeted for our athletic programs to continue in their current state through the end of this school year. I know that there have been questions as well around what would be the opportunity to reinstitute busing for athletics. And I think that, quite frankly, I think the most prudent course of action would be to ask Mr. Hassel for our meeting on the 24th to bring the board a most recent up to the minute budget outlook, because when we made the decision to go ahead and continue with middle school sports at the expense of busing for all sports, we understood that the primary motivator there was for engagement of our kids, especially at the middle school level. However, as we're moving forward now, we have a better idea of what things are going to look like, at least for the rest of this school year. If there's an opportunity, we realize that we would have to reallocate funds from another source in order to do that. I don't feel it's in the board's best interest to make a decision like that without taking a good solid look at what is our outlook, what is our cash flow, what is our preliminary, super early fund balance if we were to end the year with our current expenditures. So with that in mind, I'm not looking or asking for any decisions to be made other than to reinforce that the board did intend for athletics in their current form without transportation to continue for the rest of the school year, and then move forward with a budget presentation on the 24th. If that, I'm open to suggestion as always, though, if the board would like to take a different route, but I think that's the most prudent move.
I think what you're doing is, I like what you're doing, I think that's good. And I think somehow, if we work with the community, my only interest is to remove the number of cars on the road. And when you get into high school, it even becomes different. And so this is the only way to do it. It's clear for now the situation we're in, but maybe for the future or currently now, how can we plan to get maybe a better understanding into the constituencies? So here's what we don't want to have, you know, and it would just, you know, I think that would be better.
And at the same time that Mr. Hassel could provide us with an update on our budget outlook, I reported to the board that I have already been in contact with Corey Plager from DA Davidson to address short-term issues as well as long-term issues with the need, quite frankly, to at some point we will revisit a levy with our district sooner rather than later. And I want to make sure that the board has all of the options in before we make a decision about any type of timing, any type of ask from a fiscal nature. And I think that the impact of the levy equalization, quite frankly, will be the biggest issue, because as the board is very aware, anytime you drop below that $1.50 threshold, we will not be guaranteed our full levy equalization. And I was an English teacher, not a math teacher, so I'm going to leave that to Corey to get us those numbers, because I want them to be right. But at the same time, I think that that's something that will fit very well with Mr. Hassel's presentation. And then we'll be in a position to make some decisions moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea for the 24th. Be very prudent to look at those numbers, whether the levy passed or not. We would be needing to adapt or react to those results. So I think
by going through that process, you're getting a little bit more information out to voters exactly what the levy is, you know, what's in the levy, and I think that's very important.
Absolutely.
all right, we'll look forward to that on the 24th.
So are we gonna have Corey's numbers prior to the 24th as well? So
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would anticipate having some preliminary figures back from him later this week, quite frankly.
And so doing quick math, the Friday before would be the 22nd. Do you think it'd be possible to get a report out, John, boards by then, so we have a weekend to look at it? All right, please, sir. Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on to item 8C, bus route school start time discussion, Mr. Peters.
Thank you. I would like the direction from the board, because after some discussions internally, and as the board is very aware, we've now seen some bus drivers, have continued to find employment elsewhere. And over the course of the last 2 weeks, I've been in some informal discussions with staff members here about what would it take logistically? What would the impact be financially for us to consider lowering the number, decreasing the number of permanent routes that the district offers, but making 2 runs? So right now we have 8 permanent routes that we run, and we bring all of our kids, anywhere from kindergarten up to 12th grade on the same bus, same route. We could conceivably lessen our impact of losing drivers by doing an elementary run and a secondary run. What we would need to do, though, is have discussions again with our principals and see that if we could accomplish that with a very slight change to most likely secondary start times. I'm not interested in a significant, meaning half hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour. I'm not interested in that much of a separation. We have far too many young kids who rely on older siblings for getting them to school and getting them back from school. However, the current situation is untenable with the number of drivers that we have. We have a number of new subs that we're making moves to get approved. I think the board is aware. There's several staff members, including myself, Mr. Castillo, Mr. Crego, who are all in the process of getting our substitute CDLs so that we can drive if necessary. Push comes to shove, and I must say, only in the absolute last resort would anybody want me driving around, other than what I do in the mornings anyway during winter. But we also have to keep the buses going. So I do not have any recommendations at this point. I simply want to put it out there for the board and ask that we go ahead and be allowed to look at options and opportunities. If we can make some subtle shifts that would not necessitate, at least at this time, any shift in our walking boundaries. I'm not interested at this point, especially going into winter, of any discussion about lengthening the boundaries out to make more kids walk to school. But if we could shift the secondary start time by 15 minutes, which could cut us down to 5 or 6 permanent routes, that could be a big deal towards ensuring that we have full-time drivers in all of our routes all the time. I do not know if that's something that we could accomplish by the 24th, but I do think that by, I believe our December meeting is on the 8th. I think by the 8th of December, we could at least have some preliminary numbers. We really, unless it's anything except a very subtle change, we would be looking at making changes for the 26-27 school year. Because this is not something you just want to roll out and announce it 2 or 3 weeks before it happens. That's not enough time. But if we start the planning now and then start communication January for an implementation the following August, I think that would do fine.
Yeah, I think it's certainly worth exploring, and I think we kind of have to explore it given the nature of the situation, maybe if you could provide a little context for why we're in this situation with the bus drivers and to begin with. And I mean, we've lost how many of our?
We've lost 4 permanent
of 9 or
9 or 10.
Okay.
Yep. And I can do that without even having to come back. Yeah. This is absolutely a result of the fact that we have canceled our out of town travel, whether it's athletics, whether it's curricular related that we're still doing on a very limited basis, or field trips. Our drivers are facing the fact that their hours are being reduced, and there are other places they can go which are guaranteeing them a significant number more hours. And quite frankly, as much as I might question how some other districts are able to guarantee 35 driving hours a week, I'm also not in the position to be able to argue with them because they're the ones writing the checks. So I'm never going to discourage one of our employees from seeking a better financial situation for them or their families, but that then becomes incumbent upon us to try and change our ways to make sure that at least for those drivers that we still have, you would see an increase in hours as well as potentially the impact of full-time benefits, which would be a big deal. So,
yeah.
I think there are many pluses. I am not blind to the fact that I'm probably missing a whole bunch of minuses. So that's why we need some time to iron this out and see what we come up with. And it may be that on the 8th of December, we come forward and say, you know, there's just absolutely no way. It sounds great on paper or it sounds great in an office, but logistically speaking, it doesn't make much sense. Or we may come back and say, you know what, this is easier than we thought. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for providing some of that context. I think with the previous agenda item, it goes hand in hand with the board made a decision to save athletics for the year, but there's a trade-off there. And this is some of those trade-offs that we have to deal with. So yeah, I think we look forward to hearing what the options are there, and certainly understand that that's probably not something we can rush into, but something we should certainly be exploring. All right, thank you. Any other comments on item C? Hearing none, we move on to item 9, board comments. I feel like I've talked enough tonight.
Have anything?
All right, with that, we'll move into executive session pursuant to RCW 42.30.110, section 1G, performance of a public employee for 30 minutes with no business to follow. So we will be adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.